Hey, good evening. It's been a while since I did any meandering, so I thought, you know what I thought? With all of the bad news that is happening at the moment, it really is hard to find good news. And lately I've been making it a quest to look for that. And I'm actually seeing that you can find it. But if you've been looking at current affairs and what the state of our leaders are, then it's not so easy. But I have a book, I have many books. Let me show you. I'll tip my thing up here. So I have many books here, a lot of really good things. What I find, I've mentioned this before to expats in my well-intentioned advice for coming over and settling in the Philippines, is that because everybody around you will be speaking another language, you forget how to speak your own. So I set myself the task of reading out loud. I make sure that I read out loud so that I can hear myself talking, speaking the words, expressing the sentiments in whatever it is that I'm reading. And I'm looking through this book here. I guess it reverses the title so you don't actually see it. So I'll read the title for you. It's Quotes That Will Change Your Life. That's one of those phrases that we hear quite a lot where people are trying to sell something and they say, oh, it changed my life. Well, I got to tell you that more has been written about love than about any other subject. No matter, not rocket science, not brain surgery, not any of those incredibly interesting, vital things for the human race. It's about love. And we're losing the ability to express it in a beautiful way. Now, movies and books and music, all of these things, they're designed to make us feel, to experience emotions. I always used to joke that if I pulled up in the traffic in America, if I looked over at the next car, depending on the body language of the person in the car, then I would know what kind of music they were listening to. So if they were there like this and they were, wiping an eye and looking very sad, I know that it would be sad love songs about losing the one you love and being left and all of that. If they were doing the I know that it would be hard rock, and it goes on. But I looked at this book, and in it has different sections, and the section that I want to read from is one that I think no matter who you are, no matter your wins and losses, no matter your riches and whether you're poor, whether you're poverty-stricken, whether you are wealthy beyond belief, whether you're a leader, whether you're just cannon fodder like most of us are, this will have something for you. And the first, I went through and I bookmarked the ones that I like. Well, what would I do? Read stuff I don't like? Of course. But this was written by Erica Young, who I think was a very big feminist, if I'm not much mistaken. I could be wrong. She said, "Do you want me to tell you something really subversive? Love is everything it's cracked up to be. It really is worth fighting for being brave for risking everything for. And the trouble is, if you don't risk anything, you risk even more. So love is definitely something that you lose if you try to block it off from your life. And it doesn't mean that because you welcome it in, you will be safe. But the other thing that on the same page, it said, the hardest lesson learned is that people only have their kind of love to give, not our kind. In other words, you can't expect that because you love someone completely with your open heart, if they mean everything to you, sadly, you have to face the fact that it doesn't mean that they will feel the same about you. Now, here's an interesting thing, because it's kind of scientific. Measured with magnetic field meters, the electromagnetic field that the heart produces is some 5,000 times more powerful than that created by the brain. You know that we're electrical creatures, aren't we? And so electricity is something that is part of our being. When I was in China, I used to go and have a massage with a very ancient Chinese lady who was also blind. But at the end, towards the end of the massage, she would take my 2 fingers and she would hold my hand up like this. And then with the other hand, she would tweak this here and send a really powerful electric shock up my arm into the hands. I thought that was worth something. So let me read for me, the emotional, heart-rending quote was from, of course, my favorite writer, John Steinbeck. Now, certain things that I see in here remind me of certain people. If I don't say that something reminds me of you, it's not because I'm ignoring you or don't think you're worthy. It's just that this particular one reminds me, and I'm sure that the couple will not mind me saying, but this reminds me of my friend Dean and his lovely lady, Mickey. Once again, an American and a Filipina. But I never really met many people who just outflow such a love for the person they are married to. And this couple are amazing for this. As I said, by John Steinbeck. A kind of light spread out from her, and everything changed colour, and the world opened out, and a day was good to awaken to, and there were no limits to anything, and the people of the world were good and handsome, and I was not afraid anymore. Pretty awesome thing that I thought there. And on with the whole thing of saying that electrical magnetic fields are being broadcast from the heart. They always say listen to the heart, don't they? And I've always found, and this is a thought that I had, something I thought about love, and that is, say what you will. Say what you will. The heart has its own agenda. Say what you will. It has its own agenda. And Tom Robbins, he said, we waste time looking for the perfect lover instead of creating the perfect love. It took a while when I met Beth to make her realise that our love affair was as great, if not greater, than the love affairs of others. Because when we met, she told me that her teacher had told her so many times that her dream was to go to Baguio, which is often called the city in the clouds. It's at a very high altitude, and so it can be quite cool up there, much too cool for me. So one of the first trips that we made together, almost as newcomers to each other's, was to Baguio. And I had been to Baguio before, and Beth said it was my teacher's dream, and it became my dream too. Took me a while to persuade her otherwise on that. But anyway, I knew that Baguio could be very cold, and I know I'm not good on the cold. So I took a good sweater, which I have to look hard for here in the Philippines, because right now we're up in the 40s, especially where we're living. So we went to Baguio, and when I told Beth, you better take a sweater because you're going to be cold, she said, no, I won't. And she was right, because she borrowed my sweater. I was the one that was cold. But anyway, let's not start venting. Let's continue on. And I've marked the places and things that I like. How about this one? Kisses are a better fate than wisdom. I remember talking in Florida to one surprisingly romantic man who didn't appear in his style of talk. It didn't seem to be the kind that would be romantic. But for those Americans who know that there is a company who make chocolate called Hershey's, probably all over the world, but sometimes us Brits only think about the way that the Brits do it, and we think of Nestle and Cadbury's. But Hershey's make a particular tiny chocolate which they wrap individually, and they are called Kisses, Hershey's Kisses. And he told me that he went on a first date with a friend, a woman, and he had romantic aspirations for this lady, and he gave her this little parcel, and when she opened it, it was full of Hershey's Kisses. And he said, this was the best way that I could think to give you so many kisses on our first date. Pretty awesome. The next one is similar to my own. The heart has its own reasons, which reason knows nothing of. Loving someone is a loss of freedom, but one doesn't think of it as loss because one gains so much. And one of the songs that I really love was that I'd intended to do when my throat is feeling a little bit better. Not that my own aspirations to be a good. Well, I got cut off there with a flat bat, so I charged a little enough for me to go, and I'll go from where I think I ended off, which was on in every marriage more than a week old there are grounds for divorce. The trick is to find and continue to find grounds for marriage. And the one after that was about the advantage of marriage. Advantage of marriage is that when you fall out of love with him, or he falls out of love with you, keeps you together until you fall in love again. So now, I put these ticks, little marks on the ones that I liked when I read it a couple of days ago, but I haven't read them since, so every read is new for me. It says, marriage isn't a love affair. It isn't even a honeymoon. It's a job. A long, hard job at which both partners have to work, harder than they've worked at anything in their lives before. And I think that's probably true. If you're going to stay together, it's not a rosy thing. You have to work. You have to be prepared to give way on lots of things, especially if you're a foreigner in a foreign land and you're a foreigner in a strange land. You have to give up on many, many things just to maintain your sanity. And then, I didn't put a tick on this one, but it's funny. It says, love is the answer. But while you're waiting for the answer, sex raises some pretty good questions. All parts of the body are eretogenic. That was Leonard Cohen. The pleasure of living and the pleasure of the orgasm are identical. I think actually we changed from love to sex when I blinked. Okay, so I'm going to end off with a gag about a married couple. There's some great married couple jokes, and this one is one that always made me smile. It was the elderly couple, lady in her 60s, went to a doctor, and she complained that her husband seemed to have lost all interest in making love, which she felt was a great loss to them. And the doctor listened to this, and he gave her a tiny bottle, sort of tiny like this. He said, I know this is a battery, but he gave her a tiny little bottle. He says, only 2 drops of this in his drink when he's not looking. And he said, I think it will do the trick. Well, he didn't hear from the lady for a week, and then she came in, and she looked very rosy indeed. And he said, so I can't wait to hear how it went. So she said, well, it was amazing. She said, I must have slipped up a little bit, and instead of putting in 2 drops, I put in 4 or 5. And the doctor said, really? So what happened? She said, it was incredible. He became like he had the strength of 10 men. He just stood me up. He ripped all my clothes off and threw me down on the table. He just swept everything off the table. He put me down on the table and made passionate love to me for like 10 minutes straight. It was amazing. So why are you here? She said, well, I just wanted to let you know how it went. He said, so you're not complaining? She said, no, I'm not complaining. She said, of course, it'll be a long time before we can show our face in that McDonald's again. I'll hope you come back and listen again. Bye for now.